Hello and welcome back to the shop. It's probably a couple of weeks since I put my last video out and I thought I'd start putting something together. I haven't had time to do anything in the workshop just lately. I've had a lot of things on with the house and in the garden. I've been a few interesting places as well, so I just haven't had time to do anything in here. It's been pretty cool as well, and I've only just fixed my diesel heater. I told you, I think last time, my diesel heater was knackered. So I've bought a brand new one and I've put that in. And I got it running on Thursday this week. But I need to get the proper leisure battery. It's only got an ordinary little battery and it's not up to it. So I need to sort that out. It's been pretty cool and it's not been very comfortable coming in here during the day. And with having other things on, I just haven't got around to doing anything. But I did speak to the supplier who provided this here, the belt sander, and we talked, when I showed you the belt sander a few videos ago, that talked about the guard on the top here. Well, we're not going to get very far with it with the manufacturer, people who supply these things. They give us the usual sort of thing. They've never seen this kind of thing before. Everything should be okay. Yeah, this, that and the other. Well, I'm not going to to and fro with them. What we're going to do is we're going to do our own thing. We're going to sort the problem out. So we're going to make a guard that goes over there. What I'll do is I'll measure what sort of diameter this is here. We'll get us off a piece of tube, we'll cut the tube up and make it into a bit of a guard. That's a job for the future. It's not pressing at this moment in time, but it needs doing because the grit, see, this is nearly the height of my head. The grit comes flying, drops, comes off the work here, goes down the bottom, runs up round the back on the belt and flirts off. So it's no good and it flirts off in my head. So even though I've got my goggles on, it's hitting you in the head and I don't want that. I'm going to try and contain it a little bit. So we'll do something with that sometime in the near future. But I ordered some bolts for the tender, which is right behind you. And they've come today, so I thought I might continue fitting those stretchers. You remember the material that we planed on the planer? I've cut that up, I've drilled the holes in it, I've drilled the holes in the outer frame. We've got to drill the holes in the inner frame and then fit them, and we can tighten them up. I'm going to turn you around and show you what's what. Alright, these will be 2 bags of bolts. And there's M4 by 50 and I think it's M4 by 60, can't remember which is which now. But anyway, we've got some bolts. And I'm going to bring you in closer and show you exactly what's what with this. Alright, these are the 2 bags of bolts. You can see them there. This is the frame. All I've done is I've just pushed these smaller bolts in here just to hold things in place. I could see what was what. You can see I've drilled so if you look here, I've drilled the pieces here, look. And I drilled the hole all the way through because I'm going to put a nut and bolt on. Or nuts and bolts through. And they just fit between like that. But what I've got to do is I've drilled the holes on the outside. I've got to spot them through to the inside, which is pretty straightforward. Straightforward little job. And then the bolts, which ones are we going to use? They'll be nice. These will be fine. These will. So let's just have a look. You can see they'll go through. They'll be quite okay, they will. Yeah. They'll go in there. I always prefer bolts over hexagon head set screws. Hexagon head set screw, I don't know if you can see, but let me get a couple out of me drawers here. Got a couple of bolts, well, 1 bolt, and I've got 1 hexagon head set screw. For those who don't know, because there might be some of you who are not familiar with this, a hexagon head bolt is not threaded all the way up to the head. A hexagon head bolt is only threaded part way and it has a shank that's plain. A hexagon head set screw is threaded all the way to the bolt head, or to the hexagon head, sorry. Yeah, so that's a hexagon head set screw. You can always spot metric ones because they'll have a number on them, like 4.6, 8.8, 10.9, 12.9. That relates to the tensile grade. The bigger the number, the higher the tensile. You'll see on cap screws it'll usually say 12.9, and if they're metric, if they're metric stainless steel, it'll usually say A2, A4. There might be other designations on there. But that's the easy way of determining if they're metric or if they're imperial. Imperial ones, if you've got Whitworth ones, it might say R on them, or some other letter. That letter relates to the tensile strength. And if the UNF or UNC, they'll have a little line on them. I've only got one over here. UNF, UNC bolt. No, I've got one over here though. Let's have a look. These two bolts are 3/8 UNF, and on the head you'll have a number of lines on the head between 1 and 5 radiating out from the center. This has got 3 lines, so this is a high tensile bolt. The more lines it's got, the higher the tensile strength. The less lines it's got, the less tensile strength. So these are a typical high tensile bolt. Probably equivalent to, I would have thought, maybe the metric 8.8 bolt, or the grade R bolt for Whitworth. But there you are. So if you see lines on the head, you know that they're probably UNF, and you've only got to look at the threads on them as well. UNF threads are quite fine. UNC is difficult to tell the difference between Whitworth and UNCs because the number of teeth per inch is very similar. It is slightly different, but it's very similar, certainly up to 1/2 inch. After that it does change. But have a look on the heads to see what's what. Right, it's enough waffle. I'm going to start messing around, putting some of these bolts in. I'm going to drill this through. See if we can get this done today. Alright, we're by the drilling machine now. In fact, we're on the drilling machine. I'm going to drill some holes. I've already done one stretcher, just make sure my method was okay. I'll just show you what's going on. I'll just bring you down a little bit. There you go. Can you see? See, I've done one so far. Put the nuts on the other side and tightened it up. What we're going to do is drill the holes, clean them up, put the bolts through. You could probably see I was taking my time pushing through there because we've got nothing to stop that bending down, so you might have seen it bending a little bit. But that's okay. That's that bit done. Right. Right. Well, let's go to the bench. Now we're just putting the nuts on now. Helps if you don't drop them. Right. Just turn it around. 2 spanners. Don't want to over tighten these because they're only small. There you go. See, that's starting to get quite strong now. We'll do the other one here now. Right, let's do these. I've repositioned things so I can get in. I need to just bring the table around a little bit. And put the block in, have I? Let me put the block in. Jumping ahead of myself here. Alright. A couple of bolts into the locate. Right, so that's got all of that. Just use our toolmaker's clamp. Right, there you go. These are really useful. I like them. Right, let's get drilling, eh? Okay. There you go. There's a brush. Here it is. All right. Let's turn you around so you can see what's going on. I think you can see what's what there. Just take that off. Gyro drill. Just remove the burr. You can tell the difference in the steels. This material here, the inner frame, doesn't burr up as much as this material on the outside here. This seems to be a lot softer. So it produces a right raggy edge when you drill a hole. Alright, let's have a look. In there, goes in there, that goes in there. And what we got in here? I got a couple of packs of M4 nuts, but I'm not very pleased with the quality of the threads. I think they're a bit crap, so I'm going to get some new ones. There you go. Okay. Right, there we are. See, that's quite strong and rigid now, that is. You see, by the time we've put the stretchers in here, We've got some others to go in for the brakes, for the brake hangers. And then we'll put some in here as well. That'll be a very strong structure. I like that. It's starting to look something like now. Right, what we'll do is we'll look at the other side then. Now let's do the last one. Always be careful with the swarf on the drill. I always remember when I was an apprentice, I was working on a Bridgeport milling machine, a nice machine, and you got one of these, we call these chucks where you just hand tighten them. Can't think now. Anyway, I'd got a drill in and I was drilling a hole, and to slow it down I grabbed hold of the chuck, but I didn't realise there was a piece of swarf stuck up here, ripped the end of my finger. Bloody thing. It was my own fault. I should have waited till it was stopped. Ever since then I never try and slow things down. I always let them run down themselves. There you go. Alright, let's bring these burrs off. Alright, let's have a look what we've got in here. Here's the one. One, two, three. That won't come out. No. Right, we'll put them in. Tighten them up. There you go. Right, that's starting to look very strong. I like that. We've done a lot of work on this for the last 2-3 months. You can see the benefit of doing all the work that we've done. Extra stretchers. You know, we've changed the ends and things. Makes a big difference for structural strength. I like that. Right. Right, now. This was the other piece of the bar that was left over from these, and this is for doing the brake hanger brackets. Now, they're going to fit somewhere like that. There's only 4 of them. The rear screw, I don't know if you can see there, but one of the screw holes here is going to be one of the hangers for the brake linkages to operate the wheels, or operate on the wheels. So what we've got to do as well is we've got to put some stretchers in across here, so we'll get some new material for that. Plane or shape that down. We can do that though. What we need to do is make sure we got a good base for the tank to sit on. We've got plenty of provision for drilling through, bolting, whatever we need to do. But we need to make sure this is strong. We don't want any unnecessary flexing and twisting. It will twist and flex. It won't stop that. What we don't want to do is put any unnecessary stresses in the chassis. The chassis takes all the load and all the stress. The tank doesn't take. All the tank does is just hold coal and it holds water. It's not a structural component in that sense. The chassis is. Right. So we've got one goes in there. Goes in there like that. Okay. I like that. That's pretty good. Right, that's pretty good, that doesn't it? I'm quite happy with that. That's a little job that we've done. It's finished with. That looks alright. That's made a big difference to the strength of these side frames. You can see they're not very thick, they're only 1/16 of an inch. So we've put this inner frame rail on, put the stretchers in, it's made a massive difference. Of course we've got the tie rods as well. I like that, that's pretty good. Alright, I picked my new battery up yesterday for the diesel heater. Can you see it on the floor down there? That's the new battery there. And there's the old battery. We get the little one down for you. This is it here. This is tiny, look at the difference in that. If you can see that, I'll get out of the way so you can see. Let me just move you down a little bit so you can see a bit better. That new battery is massive. The old one's only, what does it say? It's 12 volt. What does it say here? 12 volt, 40 AH, I presume that's amp hours. And it says 360 A, I presume that means amps. The new one is 12 volt, 95 amp hours, 850 amps. Bit of a difference there then. The big battery is a proper leisure battery. These diesel heaters use a lot of power, a lot of current, especially with the glow plug. It's the glow plug that takes the power. Once it's up and running, it's just a fan. But it's a glow plug that takes the power, so you've got to make sure you've got plenty of power available. And that little battery just isn't capable of doing that. So I got myself a new battery. You probably find a lot of the problems I've actually had with the old diesel was probably because the battery wasn't big enough. But anyway, I'm going to put it on the shelf over there, and I'm going to put a support under the shelf just because of the weight of that thing. I don't want the shelf to come ripping off the wall and the battery smash on the floor with all the acid and stuff in it. So I'm going to make a support underneath, just make it out of a bit of a timber, and that'll be okay. And I'll get it on charge, make sure it's fully charged, and then we'll get it connected up and see how it runs. Right, I should go start getting some timber together and get this done. Okay, you can see now what I've done. Got myself a post in here, and that's taking the weight of all the batteries. So it's not the brackets on the wall that are taking the weight, it's that post. The battery's sitting there, we're charging it up. Little charger's doing its thing. I leave the trickle charger on most times, keep the battery charged. Certainly when I'm running the heater. Alright, well, as you can probably hear, our diesel heater is working now. You can see it there. The little pump is chugging away there now, so it's starting to get warm. It's taken me a long while to get this sorted out. There's an intermittent problem with these little diesel pumps. Are not very good at all. I don't like them. What happens is they appear to be sticking, so the piston sticks inside. I've got one, which was the original one of the original units, and I put it in the skip now. But that was jammed solid inside. I had a spare one. That one was moving. But this is the one that came with the brand new unit here. That one was working for a short while and then it stopped, and that was jammed as well. They had to free it off. But it's working now. It's quite cold in here. So it's about 5 degrees. It was colder than that, about 1 degree when I first came in this morning, but I don't intend to stay here if it's 5 degrees or anything like that. I want to get the temperature up and make it comfortable. But that's working anyway. Alright, it's next day now. I'm back in the shop obviously, and you can hear the fan on the little diesel heater running. You can see it down there. It seems to be working okay now. Touch wood. But it was interesting, when I came in the workshop it was about 11:10. So now it's probably about 10 to 1, something like that. So it's about 40 minutes. And the temperature when I came in was 1 degree Celsius. Now it's about 5, so it's taken that long, 40 minutes to raise it 4 degrees. I think it's set at about 17 degrees, we'll see where it trips out to. I mean, if it's really cold, it may never ever get up there. But it's having an effect on the atmosphere. You can feel that it's not as cold as what it was when I first came in. So I'm quite pleased about it. But just let that run and do its thing now. But I'm just doing something else today. I'm making a gasket for the oil can. And I've got to make one for the oil can that I've got at the Severn Valley Railway as well. I'll just bring it on the bench and just show you what I'm doing. Alright, here's my oil can. That's the bit that goes in, a little pump. And that's the gasket that fits inside the cap here. It's a bit raggy arse that is now, it's a bit knackered. They don't last very long, they're not very good at all, and they don't seal very well. This is, when I had this brand new, this always leaked from the lid here, much to my irritation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and clean out the crap here, bits of old gasket inside, and I'm going to make a new gasket. I'm going to show you how I do that. Okay, I've just cleaned out the lid. Now we've got to, when we make the gasket, we're going to make it out of this stuff here. This is about 1/32 neoprene rubber. It's synthetic rubber. Just put that down there. And you can see the old gasket, which is here. See the hole? That's a bit rough as anything, that is. But what we've got to allow for is this spring here, part of the return mechanism. So what we'll do is we'll use our belt hole punches, or some people call them wad punches. Please call them belt hole punches. And we're going to use them to certainly cut the hole on the inside, but the outside we'll probably just cut with some scissors out, cut nice and straightforward. Let me get my punches out and I'll show you what we've got. Alright, here's my hole punches. You can see. Put that on there. And give it a good smack with a hammer. What we used to have, we used to have a lead block. You'd use that in conjunction with your punch, and then because the punch would come through the work, you didn't want it cut into your bench and damage your bench. So we used to have a wad block, a lead block. But what we're going to do is just going to use an old piece of timber, because that's all we've got really. I haven't got any pieces of lead. Not necessary to have them, but we've got a whole selection of different ones here. These are really old, these are. I picked them up cheap from on eBay. really useful, and I use these for all my gaskets and things. I used to have an old commercial vehicle, and when I was making my own gaskets and things, I used these all the time for cutting the holes for the studs, bolts, etc. You can see we've got plenty here. There you are. There's still got one of the little cutouts from probably about 10 years ago now. Right, let me decide which ones I'm going to use for this, and we'll get on with this. Alright, what we're going to do then, we're going to use this one here, which is a 17mm one, and this one, which is, looks like an 8mm one. The reason why we're going to use these two here is because we've got an odd shape. We've got to allow for the spring. Can you see the spring there? Yeah. So what I'll do, a tapping stick. We'll use this one. There you go, see? Nice and clean. Straight through, no problem. Right, so that's the hole in the middle that we've just done. Now what we've got to do is do a little offset hole. So in other words, our punch is going to go in there like that. And then we just cut with a knife to join them together. So I'm going to put that there. Right, keep them together, because don't forget we said we've got to make two, and when I'm happy with the shape of this one, I'll make another one exactly the same, and that'll be the one I'll use from the oil can at the railway. So we've got our scissors, and we've got our knife. Right, now let me have a look. Put this way. There you go. Can you see the shape now? So that should fit. Let's just make sure it's clean. That should fit over that. Let's see if we need to make any adjustments. No, that'll be okay then. That'll be okay. Right, so what we've got to do is we've got to find out what diameter this is here. It needs my vernier. Right, let's have a look. Let's get an idea what we're looking at here. We're about 25 thou short of inch and a half. So just under inch and a half. Scissors. Let's measure that. Inch and a half. Inch and a half. What we're going to do is we're going to bias over just like that. Okay. And I'll just cut this down until it's the right size. You could have just scribed a circle if you wanted to, which would have made life easy. In fact, we should have done that really. fits better. Alright, I don't know if you can see it's in there now. It's difficult to see because it's black. But that's in now. So what I'm going to do, I'll float that out and I'm going to make another one exactly the same, and that'll be for the oil can at the railway. Okay. Right. Alright, I've made two now. I've got one here. That was the first one we made. And the second one we've made is in here now. It's installed in there. So what we'll do is put that in, pinch it up. It's that twisting action which I think causes the main problem. Well, bad fitting gasket to start with, but the twisting action causes it to crumple up, I think. And there you go. We'll just go over to the lathe and we can just test it, see what it's like. Alright, here we are at the lathe. It's oiling there, right, that's all okay, that is. A little bit in there. There we go. Some in here, counter shaft. I haven't used the lathe for a while, but that's okay now. It's not leaking. That would normally leak now, that would, all around there, but it's not. So I'm pleased with that. I think we've done a good job there. See how long it lasts for. But there we are. All the little jobs to do in the workshop when you get a chance. Keep on top of your equipment. Alright, there you are. We've done a few things in the shop. We've repaired my oil can, which you've seen, and we've done the stretchers, 6 stretchers for the frame for the tender on the locomotive. I've made a couple of other stretchers and I did them on the milling machine. I have got some footage of that and I'll put that in the next video that we do. And you can hear my fan on the diesel heater still running. Pump's working okay. It's warming up in here. It's about 10 degrees now. It's about 5 outside. It rained heavy last night. But anyway, let's not worry about that. It feels okay in here now. I'll probably do something this afternoon. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Right.